My name is Julie Anderson, and I am doing a live interview tonight with Deepak Saini. He is a health, performance, and longevity coach, and he's going to share the top supplements to live to 100 and beyond. So I'm like super excited to interview him. He has so much insight and wisdom and really good golden nuggets that sometimes you just have never heard of before, and I just love interviewing him. So I'm so excited for him to pop on. So, hi Leslie, how are you? So I'm just waiting for Deepak to pop on. I know last time we had a little bit of technical difficulties and I had to wait until he commented and then I was able to add him. So I'm going to just sort of pull up my Facebook on my computer as well, just to see if he is on right now. I sent him a message. I'm like, Deepak, are you ready? He's like, I'm ready. So there he is. Deepak is here. Add me. Cool. Bring Deepak on camera. We're getting it done, Deepak. This is so exciting. And then I'll introduce you, Deepak, as soon as you're on. Yay, Deepak!
Hey, Julie, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not. There is a little bit, and you're really loud on my end here. I'm going to maybe turn my volume down and see what happens here.
Okay, sounds good. Doesn't help. I'm like yelling. How's that?
Good, good.
Okay, cool.
I'm just playing around here just to make sure there's some good lighting here and stuff.
Sounds good. I'm going to give an introduction about who you are.
Sure,
so
sounds good.
On here. Cool.
That
okay, so
work.
Deepak Saini is a health, performance, and longevity coach. Spent many years in the corporate world and overcoming an autoimmune condition and a back injury. He brings a unique perspective to working with his clients. When this father of two is not spending time with his wife and little girls, he is researching and staying at the forefront of emerging and cutting-edge health research. Deepak is also a speaker and published writer. Welcome, Deepak, and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, please, the platform is yours. Please share the top supplements to live to 100 and beyond.
Sure. So first of all, I just want to make it very clear to everyone, nothing we talk about today should be construed as medical advice. This is just generalities here. Things that I think will benefit most people, but I don't know your individual situation and things may or may not be suitable for your individual needs. So let's put that out there. So one thing I get a lot of times, even from family members, is, I try and live, I kind of straddle two worlds. I'm very into the, technology and sort of biohacking and better living through science, but at the same time, I also, trying to, ancestrally, how did, our forefathers live before all the changes, in the last 100 years or less, type of thing. So I often get from people, it's like, oh, well, in the Paleolithic era, they didn't have supplements, or, we didn't have vitamins 200 years ago or whatever, like, so what's going on here? I said, well, to quite honestly, with our modern farming practices, with the cropping of the same crop year and year in the same soil, we've depleted the soil. We're putting so much fertilizers and pesticides and this and that. So the reality is we're not getting the same nutrients from an orange today, even an organic orange today, that we did, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So, I'd like to get what I can from my food, but again, I have longevity goals and health goals, and I hopefully a lot of people do as well. So, you see how you almost need to supplement these days, and depending where you live and time of year, et cetera, it's just hard to get everything that you want. So I'm just going to go through what are what I think are the top supplements that most people should use, or would benefit their health, and then I'll talk about what I use, because I also get that a lot of questions from clients or family members, friends. What do you use? And everything I use is on that list anyway. So we'll get to all that, and then if we have time, again, people knowing that I'm a health coach, like, well, what do you do for your kids? Because I have kids, and that sort of thing. We can maybe get to that, and we'll just see where the conversation takes us. So top supplements, and this is in not necessarily any particular order, but in general, that I think most people, again, not knowing your personal situation, but what most people can benefit from are vitamin C, vitamin D3, vitamin K2, magnesium, omega-3s, and then these can be in capsule form or supplement form. You can also get it from food, and I'll talk a bit more about that, but turmeric slash curcumin, ginger, and garlic. So what is that? So I'll say them again for everyone: vitamin C, vitamin D3, vitamin K2, magnesium, omega 3s, uh, turmeric, curcumin, and ginger, garlic. I think that's a good starting point, base level, cover most of your bases, and of course everyone's been to the vitamin store or GNC or any of those big boxes, and or online. There's like a million things you can get, but that's a good foundation. So maybe we'll take it from what I take, and hopefully maybe we'll get some questions along the way or what have you. Um, so I start off. So I'll firstly start off with what I do daily, and then sort of the one-offs or the things I've experimented with here and there. And Julie, please jump in anytime to stop me. So when I get up in the morning, this is not a vitamin per se, but or a supplement. I guess it is a supplement. When I get up in the morning, I'll do my workout and my stretching and sauna and all that, and then I'll have a glass of water with about I don't know, maybe a tablespoon or maybe a bit more of lemon juice, and I'll put some collagen powder in that, stir it all up, and drink that. So get the digestion started good in the morning. Get a little bit of vitamin C from the lemon juice, and the collagen is for my skin and my joints, right? And a lot of people, especially not to stereotype, but many of our the ladies out there, will notice a lot of their creams and that sort of thing, even shampoos, etc., all come with collagen now, right? So okay, that's great. It probably does work to a degree, but I actually produce your own collagen, and that's topic for another day almost. But I like it coming from the inside out as opposed to the outside in. So ingest the collagen to help skin and joints and all that sort of thing. So after my first meal of the day, and again, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I do practice intermittent fasting. So depending on the day and what's going on, usually it's somewhere between 11 and 2, depending on the situation, is when I actually eat my first meal of the day. So some of the vitamins, at least for me anyway, again, very individualized, I will get a reaction with some of the vitamins or some of the supplements on an empty stomach. So I always wait till my first meal and have it right after. So the first thing I take, so I kind of stack a whole bunch of things right at one time with my first meal. So the first is a really good quality multivitamin. Get a bit of a shotgun approach. It's got some vitamin C, all your B complexes, copper. I should probably just grab my bottle off my shelf. One thing it does have is also it has niacin in it as well, which for some people, and I'm actually sensitive to it, and that's what I've noticed, is that I'll get a niacin flush. So if people don't know what that is, it's like you get like almost your skin gets like really hot, almost like you're blushing, but I get all the way in my hands and up my arms and my face and all that. So it took me a while to figure out what was going on with that. And then I realized, oh, it's just niacin flush, and I just need to eat it with food. So a very good shotgun approach. I really like this brand. I'm not going to really talk brands unless somebody has a specific question, because there's a lot of good brands out there, and I'm not trying to sell anything here, so I'll stay away from brands, but unless somebody specifically asks. So start off with that, and then zinc is another thing that I take separately. So I've tested for zinc, and I'm low on zinc, and this is a very easy test. You can get your doctor or a naturopath or whatever. It costs like, I don't know, like $10 or $15 to get this test done. I test low on zinc. I don't get it through diet, just from the foods I typically eat or our family eats. And two, I'm also a poor converter or absorber of zinc. So I have to supplement with zinc. So I take a low dose of that. Zinc, what is zinc good for? So I got a couple notes here. Want to be prepared for everyone. Trace mineral, vital to liver health. Has been shown to reduce inflammation specifically with your liver. Helps many enzymes and proteins for new cells. It frees vitamin A storage from your liver. It's good for your taste, smell, wound healing, and taken with other antioxidants. Zinc can potentially delay the progression of age-related macular degeneration, which we talked about last time.
Wow.
So that's one. The other thing I take is CoQ10 or coenzyme Q10. So that works as an antioxidant. It's an enzyme, helps enzymes work to digest in your food and perform other bodily functions, but specifically protects the heart, blood vessels, and your skeletal muscles. So I don't have heart issues in my family or anything like that, but I don't want a bad heart. If I'm going to live to 100, I need a good heart. I need a heart that's working. So I just take CoQ10 just as a preventative measure. So the fourth thing I take is astragalus root. So it's kind of a Chinese herb. So I use it for, it has a lot of functions, but what I primarily use it for is I've had autoimmune issues in the past. I struggle with low white blood cell count. So I take it to restore and boost my immune system function. So that's what I take it for, and that was suggested by one of the naturopaths that I work with.
Do you take that
Uh,
every day, Deepak?
I do take that every day. If it's cold and flu season, or people are around me, or I feel a little something coming on, I'll double dose it. And again, I'm
Okay,
not going to get into the specifics of what's a recommended dose, et cetera, because that's specific for me. I'm not giving it, I
right,
don't give advice here, but I do
right.
take it every day, sort of a maintenance dose, and then if I feel something's coming on, I'll double it up. I used to take my what I now call a double dose. Used to be my standard dose, but as I got healthier and with the dietary changes, etc., I was able to sort of play with it and bring it down and have no sort of negative effects. The next thing that I take independently is vitamin D3 with K2. Now that's very important to have them together. Most, I'd say 95+% of vitamin D's on the market will not pair with K2, and that is you're basically you'll probably get some absorption, but without the K2, you're really not getting good absorption. You almost might as well not even bother taking your vitamin D. Like we talked last
Wow.
time about sunlight, best source of vitamin D is getting out in the sun, having your body convert it. But many of us, myself included, live in a northern climate. We don't get a lot of, even in the summer, the sun is not out that long. So it's hard to get enough exposure. So yeah, so you got to have them paired. So the one I buy particularly pairs the two together, which works synergistically. So that's great. Also, even if you have one that is paired, you probably want to go with one that's where it's suspended in oil. So like a gel cap that's in like an oil, so like a coconut oil or an omega-3 or even olive oil or something like that, just for better absorption. So if you have something that's pressed into like a pill, your body's not it's not be as bioavailable for your body to use. So that's just a little tip. So is it more expensive? Yes, but with all the supplements, I should have started off with this. Really, you pay for quality. You pay for quality. So
Absolutely.
the cheap stuff is, you get what you pay for, basically.
Is it
The
when you
next
were
thing,
talking about the cold pressed oil? Are you talking about the vitamin K or the vitamin D?
well, at the very least, get a vitamin D that's pressed that way. But ideally, you want a
Okay.
vitamin D with K2, vitamin D3 and K2 together
Oh,
in
both in
one
one. So
in
it's
one
not two
pill.
separate, but they're. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
okay,
that's
cool.
what I
Okay,
use. I mean,
yeah,
you could do it separately. You do get
right.
some together, various brands, and then of course you'll get some that are D3 and K2 together, but they're in a pressed pill, which again, the bioavailability.
Ah,
So go with one that's suspended in an oil, um, oil form. The one I use actually uses olive oil, and it's and a good quality olive oil, not a lot of fake olive oils, which is another story altogether that we could talk about. The other supplement I take on a daily basis is ashwagandha. Again, another sort of Ayurvedic or Indian, basically a root, powder made from a root. So ashwagandha is effective for its many neuroprotective, brain boosting benefits, including supporting brain cell regeneration, alleviating anxiety and depression, reducing stress, reducing cortisol levels, enhancing mood, improving nervous conditions, preventing degenerative diseases, and fighting inflammation. Ashwagandha's ability to protect the body from the toxic effects of physical and emotional stress are what makes it actually very popular. So I use it, it's an adaptogenic herb. So just for yeah, stress reduction and or lowering cortisols, all those type of things. Again, these are maybe not mainstream. I'm sure a lot of people who listen to this either live or later on have probably heard of this if they're into supplements. It's probably a little less mainstream, again, because it's from the East, but I mean, it's been used for like 5,000 years, for treating many things. So that's another one I use. Another thing that I use is alpha lipoic acid, or ALA. and you can buy that separately, or sometimes they stack it with other things together. The one I use is separately. So ALA is actually approved. So like when you get a bottle, it's used. It says it's used approved for insulin sensitivity, and might also offer protection to metabolic syndrome. So a lot of times it, maybe diabetics or people worried about blood sugar will maybe be prescribed that. So what does that mean? That means it's been through FDA approval or Health Canada or wherever you are saying, yes, there's studies, we have this, this is what it's been used for. Okay, great. Now, I don't have those issues, so why? Through my dietary and everything, I'm not worried about blood sugar. So why do I take it? Sometimes things are approved for one thing because they got it passed, but there's a lot of other research that says, hey, it actually works for this other thing too. And the people, naturopaths or functional medicine doctors, etc., they know those other things, so they get recommended for other things. So again, approved for insulin sensitivity. That's not why I take it. Studies have shown that it's an antioxidant, fights free radicals, regenerative, and helps regenerate other antioxidants. Another benefit is that it is a precursor and helps your body produce your own glutathione, which we'll get to in a bit. So remember that one, which may just be the greatest antioxidant of all, glutathione. So it helps your body be a precursor, so you can. We do create our own glutathione. As we age, our production goes down. There's things you can do. Obviously living healthy, will help that. But it's a precursor to help your body create more of its glutathione. So again, we'll get to why I take it when we get to glutathione. The other thing I take, and we're about halfway through the list, people, just hold on, we're halfway through the list, is N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. So again, it's mainly approved for treating upper respiratory conditions, so bronchitis, that sort of thing, which I used to suffer from a lot when I was a kid, when I was unhealthy. I'd get sick like 4 times a year, tons of antibiotics when I was a kid, et cetera, et cetera. But also, I use it again very much like ALA for its antioxidant properties. And again, it's a precursor, helps your body create its own glutathione. So I stack those two together. So question might be, I'm foreshadowing here, why don't you just take glutathione instead of taking those two? Okay, I'll come back to that in a second. So I take those two precursors to help my body produce its own glutathione. So that's basically all those things I mentioned is what I take all together with my first meal of the day, which is again sort of around noonish time. Then when I have around dinner time, usually I try to get it before. Sometimes I remember it's during or after. So I'll take an omega-3 fish oil. I don't know if you could hear some background noise there. My kids are having some issues, I guess. Another room here.
Halloween candy.
It's Halloween candy. Yeah, that's live. That's the benefit of live. It's authentic. Anyway, so I'll take omega-3 fish oil. So again, quality is extremely important. Probably of any of the supplements, omega-3 fish oil is probably the most important for quality. So number 1, you want a liquid. 2, it should be in a dark bottle, because light penetrating through a clear bottle is gonna oxidize it and degrade it and everything. And also you're gonna want one that after the seal's broken needs to be refrigerated. That's gonna show you quality. Again, you're gonna pay more for that than pills or whatever, or gel caps or whatever, but you get what you pay for. So dark bottle, liquid, needs to be refrigerated. Yeah, and I would stay away from tablets or capsules. If that's, ideally, well, we'll get to food sources. So I prefer a brand. They have various lines in the brand, but I take one that is high in both EPA. And I wrote it out here, and I was going to say it, but it's such a long name, what EPA stands for, and DHEA. So EPA and DHEA are critical to human health. DHEA in particular, is a major. Let me take a step back. DHEA is a major structural fat in the human brain and in your eyes, representing about 97% of all the omega-3 fats in the brain and 93% of the omega-3 fats in your retina. So kind of important to get this.
93% in your retina.
93%. It's a major structural component of the cerebral cortex. which is the part of their brain responsible for memory, language, creativity, emotion, attention. So having adequate levels of DHA protects you from age-related mental decline, significantly reduce your risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. Studies show seniors with higher levels of DHA are 47% less likely to develop dementia and 39% less likely to develop Alzheimer's compared with seniors who don't use DHA. Uh, so, we talked before, and maybe we got some new people here. I have Alzheimer's in my family. I have the Alzheimer's gene. I'm very concerned with Alzheimer's, so I make sure I take that, and I'm so much concerned about involved with Alzheimer's, and that I donate some of my time to a foundation, which maybe we can get to later. But omega-3, very important for me. Don't miss it. People, and so you can obviously get omega-3s from eating fish. Instead of getting the extract from fish, and studies have shown here. I just have another study here that people whose diets contain omega-3s, have been shown to have a 26% lower risk of having brain lesions. I can't understate enough how important it is for all those things I mentioned earlier. Language, memory, creativity, emotion, attention. I think these are all things everybody wants, especially if you're going to live to 100. But think about it. If you're having problems with your kid, ADHD, what have you, these labels that we put on kids nowadays, besides diet and bringing inflammation down and insulin regulation, maybe some fish oil would be pretty good too. So why do I take a fish oil supplement as opposed to just eating more fish? A couple things. One, unfortunately, my rest of my family doesn't really like fish. They don't mind if it's all covered in batter and all that kind of stuff, which we don't do in our house, and we have that kind of fried stuff, so we don't do that. So they're not going to eat, just a nice salmon or something. Excuse me. The other problem is you have to be really careful with the fish you buy. I'm going a little bit off on a tangent here, which I tend to do, but you really have to watch, heavy metal detoxicity and all these kind of things with fish. So, if I'm out somewhere and somebody's going to serve me something, I'm not going to make a big stink about it. But for myself to buy at home, I will only buy wild caught fish, wild caught salmon, or I will eat small fish like sardines and anchovies and that sort of thing. The fish that are at the bottom of the food chain that don't get a chance to accumulate all those heavy metals. Whereas, your tunas and your king mackerels and all that sort of thing, they're at the top of the food chain. They eat all the smaller fish and they can accumulate all that stuff. And then the fish farming is huge. Okay, we got to feed the world's population. But little known fact is that the fish farms, because they're so tight and fish just poop in their water, and they're just swimming around and they can't get away. So the fish tend to get really sick. So farmed fish are more heavily have antibiotic use than cattle and pigs and everything like that. So you think a huge cow that's 2,000 pounds gets antibiotics, or this salmon that's about so big gets antibiotics. I was just like, yeah. So once I kind of learned that fact about 2 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm done with. Again, I'm not going to make a big stink if somebody serves me or I'm at their house or something, but I'm not going to buy that for myself. So hence why I don't eat a lot of fish anymore unless it's very small fish, sardines, etc. So why I have to supplement with a fish oil. The other thing I take right around dinner time, plus or minus, is either, and sometimes I take both, sometimes I take one or the other. Right now, so chlorella or spirulina. Right now I'm on chlorella, which is basically an algae, so plant-based. Helps the body with detoxification, contains a number of antioxidants. One thing that's important, especially with chlorella, is to get a version that's cracked cell, which means so it's algae, so it's a very simple organism. So cracked cell, basically, what it sounds like, they crack the cell open. So the cell wall is open, so it makes the nutrients more bioavailable to you when you have it. And spirulina, again, like chlorella, very high in antioxidants, high in beta carotene, 10 times more beta carotene than carrots. So if that's something you need, that's good. and it's
Do
a
you take
good.
it in like a drink, like a powder or a drink, or do you take
Yeah,
like
you
a
can get in
tablet
powder.
every day?
A lot of people do powders. I think you actually, it's probably more bioavailable in a powder.
Okay.
Uh, I find, and I've tried them at health place food stores and health expos and etc. I have to say they really just do taste awful. So
Oh yeah.
I actually just buy a capsule that I can just swallow with a glass of water, and you don't really taste it. If you hold in your hand too long, you'll get some green stain or
Right.
something like that. So
Right.
I do get one that's pill like pressed.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably is better to have a powder you can mix in a smoothie or a glass of water or something like that. And I have tried that, but get a lot of residue around the glass, and
Right.
it really just tastes awful. I just don't want to taste it, so it's gone. And I'll go back since we're talking about taste. I'll go back to fish oil. So yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, the burps and all this, and it tastes awful and everything. I get it, been there. One I buy, it has a little bit of flavoring with some stevia.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes like candy or something. The one I buy is like a tangerine
No way.
stevia flavored one. So just like it's like no taste, and
Oh.
I chase it with some water or whatever anyway. So it's no big deal.
Right.
So you don't and I don't you
Yeah.
don't get the fish burps. Or if you are getting fish burps, it's actually a sign of poor quality fish oil.
Oh, are
So
you serious?
yeah, so if you have a good quality one, you're not going to get the fish burps. And as I mentioned earlier, and if someone's watching the recording or somebody's just joined us now, I'm not going to talk about specific brands here, and I'm not selling anything by any means. But if somebody does want to know like, an exact brand or what's that brand official, whatever, leave a comment underneath, and I'll answer, later tonight or tomorrow on, on a one for one basis type of thing. So that's basically kind of the next those two, the omega and the chlorella or spirulina, or sometimes both at one time, and then kind of go about my business for the rest of the evening. And then this is what I take before bed. So I take a quality magnesium. So what does magnesium do? So many things. Helps stabilize the mood, promotes feelings of calmness and well-being. So hence why it's good to take it before bed. Essential role in nerve function. It's crucial for healthy sleep. Magnesium is actually needed in hundreds of chemical reactions in our body. So magnesium is critical, and it's one thing where, again, back to my original comment, our soils are so depleted that we don't get magnesium anymore. I've seen studies of upwards of 90+% of the population is magnesium deficient.
Wow.
Excuse me here. Magnesium also works with calcium for muscle contraction. So one thing I noticed, I'm a pretty active guy. I don't do a ton of exercise. I prescribe to a minimal effective dose of exercise to meet my health goals. But I do need to move. I do think people need to move a lot every day. We can't sit all day long. So I do move a lot, low level movement, walking, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't have a heavy workout day, or I didn't have to run for the train, or it wasn't like a legs day, or a high intensity cardio day or anything like that, if I don't take now that my body's kind of gotten used to it and that sort of thing, and helps with the sleep. But if I don't take my magnesium, I quite often get cramps in my calves that'll actually be so severe I'll wake up in the middle of the night. At like
Really?
it's usually like somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock. So again, about 4 or 5 hours after I went to sleep, I'll get these massive cramps that I cannot like stretch out or shake out. I have to get up, walk around, and then do my little hack for cramps to get rid of it. And I'm like,
What's it?
what's going on?
What is this hack for cramps? You can't just
Okay, I'll
drop
get to that in a
that.
second.
Okay,
But then
okay.
when I think about it, I'll be like, oh, I forgot the magnesium, or sometimes like you get home late, or you're at an event, or I'm at my sister-in-law's house or whatever. We get home late with the kids, and you're trying to get them into bed, whatever. And then you're so tired, you just go to bed and like, oh, I was like, oh, I forgot to take them all my evening stack. Sometimes. So yeah. So if you get a cramp, it's kind of I think people in actually, Julie, I'm surprised you don't know this, being from your triathlon background. But anything that's really like sour, almost instantly, there's this like reaction in your brain once it hits your taste buds. Your brain like is sort of salty sour, like briny almost. Like your body's the chemical reaction, like your cramp just like goes away. So what I'll do is I'll get up, and I will, if that happens to me and I forget my magnesium or whatever, I'll go. We always have pickles, I'll either have a little bit of pickle juice or just eat a small little baby pickle, and like gone, cramp is gone.
That is awesome. That
And
is
then I just
so awesome.
then usually by then I have to go to the bathroom and then I go back to sleep. So
Yeah,
so that's
pickle juice. Yeah.
that lots of pickle juice. So
Yeah.
back to magnesium. Good for blood clotting, regulating blood sugar, helps build bones and teeth. And actually, 60% of the magnesium found in your body is found in your bones bound to phosphate. So if a lot of people, and magnesium works synergistically with calcium, right? And you'll see a lot of Cal Mags, right?
Yeah.
That have the two together, right? For that reason. But I think sometimes people just go calcium, 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 but you got to have some magnesium there as well. Now, one thing I will mention, most of these ones that we talk about, that we have talked about, you can't really. Again, I'm not giving medical advice here, and I'm not talking dosages, but it'd be very difficult to OD or harm yourself with taking these. Magnesium might be the one exception. Again, we're talking very high doses, but it can be deadly. I have a friend who is a emergency room doc, and he's actually seen that happen before. We kind of differ on our opinion on the use of magnesium and the deficiency of it, but the literature is out there. So at high doses, like any sane person would never get that, but it can be deadly, high magnesium. And a lot of times, actually, it's not that your magnesium's too high; it's that your calcium, sodium, etc., is too low. Like the imbalance between all of those. That's usually the problem. It's not that one's so high, but I mean, if you do go, teeter-totter, you go too high in one and the other ones are low, you might have a problem. So, but quality magnesium is the first thing I take before bed. I take my vitamin C. So my multivitamin has vitamin C, a pretty decent dose. I have the tablespoon of lemon juice, so I get a little bit of vitamin C there, and then I eat bell peppers and all sort of food things to try and get some vitamin C. But I'll also take vitamin C in the right before bed as well. So vitamin C or ascorbic acid boosts the immune system. Some studies showing improving cataracts and macular degeneration, combating stroke, maintaining elasticity of skin, healing wounds, controlling symptoms of asthma, reducing inflammation, is a strong antioxidant. And the real benefit with vitamin C, and Linus Pauling, people can Google him. I think he won the Nobel Prize many years ago. Huge proponent of high dose vitamin C, way higher than what the recommended daily average is. That, in my opinion, again, I don't want to really talk doses, but if there's one, I'd say that is ridiculously low. What they recommend for daily vitamin C. Again, happy to chat offline with someone. I take magnitudes of that above that, and potentially some of his work is even magnitudes above what I take. So vitamin C is water soluble. So if your body can't use it, you're just gonna have really bright yellow pee. That's fine. Biggest bang for your buck, vitamin C is like the cheapest vitamin there is. Ascorbic acid is so cheap. So again, quality, you always want quality, but if there's one place where you're like, I need to save somewhere in this vitamin stack, go with the cheaper vitamin C and just double up and hope you're getting enough. Right? It's so cheap. It's so cheap. Like you almost, why aren't you doing it for the benefits? And then the last thing I take before bedtime, and this is something I've just recently started, maybe the last 2-3 months or so, is in pill form. Now you can get this again in powders or tinctures, etc. I take it in a capsule form, but is lion's mane mushroom. So lion's mane mushroom has not just one but 2 nerve growth factors. So offers potential benefits to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, mild cognitive impairment, MS, seizures, leg cramps. The list goes on and on. Stimulates nerve growth factor, which is a protein that plays a major role in the maintenance, survival, and regeneration of neurons in both your central and peripheral nervous system. Evidence exists of the benefits of cognition, nerve regeneration, immune function, inflammation, even digestion. So the other reason why I take it in pill form is the actual mushroom itself. Even if you go to like an Asian supermarket, like we don't grow it here in North America, so only in parts of Asia. So even if they import it in, it can be very limited time, and it just gets gobbled up right away as soon as it comes in. I've talked to a neurologist actually who really believes in it, and she'll actually try and go and buy it from the Chinese food market here where I live. She's like, it comes in for like a week, and if you're not there like day one, it's gone. It's like almost so hard to find the actual mushroom, so you almost have to go to powdered or something like that. So again, what's some of the common themes of all these supplements? Brain health, autoimmune, or reduce inflammation, boost the immune, antioxidant. Again, all of those things, boosting those things are going to help you to be healthier and hopefully, live a long, healthy time. Again, my goal is to live to over 100. So my whole stack is, is kind of all geared towards those things. And I mentioned a couple other things earlier that, again, I prefer to incorporate in my cooking. So I'll just quickly go over those. So ginger is number one, loaded with antioxidants, potent anti-inflammatory properties. Again, believed to play a role in brain health. Shown in studies to decrease pain in arthritis. And ginger has been used for thousands of years for stomach aches and diarrhea and nausea. Like why do people, even your doctor will tell you like, oh, take a ginger capsule or drink ginger ale when you're sick, or whatever, right, type of thing. So huge, been used for many years. Garlic is another one, shown to have benefits for inflammation, infections, heart health, nasal congestion, and detoxification. Not to mention keeping vampires away. I mean, if you believe in that sort of thing. It's always good to have some garlic around. We just had Halloween yesterday, right? So
that's right.
There were no vampires around our house. So again, we usually buy like the garlic, minced garlic and minced ginger that's already in a paste in a jar. So pretty much put it in like nearly everything: stir fry, spaghetti, sauces, etc. It's an easy way to get in there, the whole family, and depending how else you flavor, like no one's gonna like, hey, this tastes really garlicky, or this tastes like really strong ginger. Like it just kind of gets masked in when you make stuff. So even very not trying to make this a recipe show or anything, but whenever I make even like my recipe for like a homemade spaghetti sauce, obviously tomato base and everything like that, but throw tons of ginger and garlic in there just to get it in there, right? And the kids are none the wiser. They don't even taste it. So the other thing I mentioned is turmeric, which contains the active ingredient curcumin. So curcumin is a byproduct of turmeric. Sometimes people think of them interchangeably. Multiple health benefits, for virtually every system in your body. Balance inflammation, joint pain, immune system, cardiovascular health, antioxidant protection, boosts mitochondrial function, improves brain health, protects against Alzheimer's again. That's well established as a for its nerve regenerative effects. It protects it repairs the protective sheath around your nerve bundle, known as the myelin or myelin sheath, which is often damaged in autoimmune conditions and other disorders. And some research has shown that even small doses of turmeric can promote nerve regeneration. So again, based on what my goals are, super important for me to have that. So much so, again, curcumin is a byproduct or an extract of turmeric when I cook. So the same, I'll just use my spaghetti recipe again. I put that in there too. So I'm putting the turmeric. I actually use both, even though one is I'll put in curcumin and turmeric and ginger and garlic in pretty much any sauce or anything we do. I'll mix it all up good. One interesting thing is, so black pepper, and the extract of black pepper called piperine, has been shown that when you combine that with turmeric and curcumin, it makes the curcumin and or turmeric more bioavailable. So again, I always put black pepper when I have those together. So, and of course, many people just season with black pepper and salt and whatever. Anyway, so it's already in there as part of to make that more bioavailable. So that's what I usually use for sort of more food based for essentially almost a daily stack, because pretty much every day there's at least one meal that has curcumin and turmeric and ginger and garlic, and we do a lot of batch cooking, so it'll be the same thing, for 3-4 days of the week. It's all incorporated. So what I want to move on to next is other supplements that I sometimes take or I have taken in the past, but they're not part of my daily stack right now. So I do it fairly regularly, a couple times a week, but not every day. Is green tea. So a lot of benefits of green tea. Hopefully I pronounce this right. The catechins in the green tea are neuroprotective, stimulate the production of new neurons, help damage parts of the brain. Some studies are showing it can be very beneficial in the prevention and treatment of degenerative diseases. So that's when a couple times a week, and just drink the tea sometimes, especially where I live, it's cold for a lot of the year, so it's just a good way to warm up. And I'll usually do, this is just me, I'll usually do a decaf green tea in the afternoon, so I don't get that sort of, I'm very sensitive to caffeine, so I want to have a decaf. The other one that I take sometimes is rhodiola, which is a root, again, in capsule form. You can get in powders or tinctures. It's been used for centuries to treat stress, anxiety, depression, improve brain function, fight fatigue. It stimulates the brain, enhances memory, concentration, and energy while fighting anxiety and maintaining calmness. It's actually also been used to lower cortisol levels in times of high stress. So sometimes when I've incorporated, again, it's been sort of my midday part of my midday stack. The other thing I sometimes take is copper. Now, people go, "Whoa, copper! That's what my pipes are made of." Yeah, when they press it in with a bunch of other metals, yeah, that's the same thing. But essentially, copper, the element, or it's a metal, but the element plays a vital role in iron metabolism and immune system. Helps make red blood cells, and also keeps the blood vessels, nerves, and the immune system healthy. So copper and zinc work very well together. So you'll find a lot of times supplements, quality supplements anyway, will put them together in a good ratio. I think it's like a 4-to-1 ratio if memory serves. So that's something I've incorporated sometimes, not all the time. My red blood cell count, all that is super good, so it's not something I need to worry about all the time. So when I am traveling, so I alluded to the glutathione earlier. So why am I taking these precursors why don't you just take glutathione? The master antioxidant, many people believe. Glutathione is just very expensive. And maybe one day I'll have more disposable income and I could just take glutathione straight up and not worry about those other two. But it is actually very expensive. That being said, there's certain times while I will splurge, if you will, because of circumstance. So if I'm traveling somewhere foreign or somewhere where there's like a lot of crowds, aka the potential for like just who knows what these people have. So okay, I won't call them up, but these massive theme parks where there's like 50,000 people going through this turnstile every day, cruise ship where it's contained, that sort of thing. I will actually go sometimes before and sometimes after, sort of boost my immunity before and definitely after when I come back, like literally immediately after I come back. Sometimes it's just after, but I'll actually get a vitamin IV, right into the bloodstream, full of B vitamins, high dose vitamin C, and including glutathione, just to make sure either before and or after, just to make sure I'm super immune, bulletproof, if you will, before I head on this in these circumstances, or when I come back to make sure I don't get anything that I may have picked up before it has a chance to build, just to kill it. And of course, intravenously, boom, it's right in, most effective way. I think there are now some ways you can get like nasal spray, so it goes right through the mucus in your nose and absorbs very quickly. But I do IV. So again, yeah, it's master antioxidant. kills free radicals and heavy metals and all that sort of thing. So great, but very expensive. The other thing I used to take, which I'm not taking right now, I haven't taken for a while, but I will be soon. I'll allude to that in a second. But is probiotics. So I prefer. So I used to have a lot of with my autoimmune and digestive stuff. So I got on probiotics to see if that would help. And again, uh, I was really suspect about quality. Like, oh, I got what we have 1 trillion whatever, and this that, and strain is super important, and not just the species, but sorry, I got that backwards. Not just the strain, but the species of the strain is super important. A lot of them are just the same. And I wasn't really feeling like, is this doing anything? I don't know. It's pretty quality, you know, 50 billion or 1 trillion, whatever species that needs to be refrigerated and all that, and special coating. It gets pretty expensive. I wasn't sure if it was actually helping me, so I just stopped. And I thought, I'm just gonna get it from food. I'm just gonna eat sauerkraut, kimchi, quality yogurt, and those sort of things. Pickled and fermented foods to just naturally get those sort of feed my gut bacteria. And I think thus far it's helped. That being said, there are some new research, some new products that have sort of come on my radar screen. So I might try it again to see if that helps. But at the moment, I'm not taking that right now. Another thing I have taken in the past is bromelain, which actually comes. It's from the pineapple, the root, the stem, or the core. I should say the core of the pineapple. It isn't throughout the whole pineapple, but it's concentrated in the stem. Helps with the digestion and inflammation. So again, a couple years ago, I had a lot of digestive issues, so that was sort of recommended to me. I started taking it. You know, I think when you change so many factors at once, like, did that really help, or was it like all the other changes I made? I think it was other changes, so I stopped taking it. And you know what? Our whole family likes pineapple, so we'll just buy pineapples and chop it up, put it on whatever, put it in dishes, and I just eat the core. I'll be the one who eats the core, and I get all my natural bromelain that way. Chaga mushrooms. So we talked about lion's mane earlier. Chaga mushrooms. I like it in a tea. It's got a nice earthy flavor. Benefits of stimulating the immune system, lowering blood sugar and cholesterol levels. The last two I'm not worried about, but again, just the immune system. So yeah, if I feel like a little something's coming on, a little tickle in my throat, a little, one of the kids maybe was running nose, like, oh, get the chaga tea out and just start pounding that, and I'll swap out the green tea for the chaga tea
Oh,
for a couple
that's
days
interesting.
until I feel like, okay, everything's good. The other thing that I have taken in the past, and I'm thinking of incorporating back in, I used to take in capsule form, but I think I'll incorporate it now in a powdered form. It's basically just a mushroom mix or mushroom blend, where different brands, different mushrooms, but like a 7 or 10 mushroom blend. So mushrooms are high in beta glucans, antioxidant properties, powerful recovery for your body and mind, as we discussed with the lion's mane. So they vary, but they could be up. They include chaga, lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, inotaki, matataki, shiitake, tremella, and two others I can't even pronounce. Like these are mushrooms we just don't get here in North America. Even at the Asian food store, you'll be hard pressed to even find like the actual real mushroom to cook with, and that sort of thing. So you almost have to, get a quality supplement if that's something you want. So again, I used to take it. I stopped taking it. Was like, is it really helping? But the more I kind of learn about it, and the more I'm getting involved with brain mechanics, which maybe we'll talk about later, and sort of the mental and preventative things. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to incorporate it back in. So yes, I do take the chaga tea sometimes. Take the lion's mane like every night. But shotgun approach. Every mushroom is going to have a little bit different effect, but they're all really good. So and again, these are not your button mushrooms that that you see at every grocery store. These are kind of the more exotic, more potent mushrooms is what we're talking about here. So one other thing I said we talk about is which I get from people is like, well, okay, whether they be clients or just people I meet randomly, like, okay, Mr. Health Guy, well, how do your kids eat, or how what vitamins your kids take, and I got kids and that sort of thing. So So my kids are still pretty young, so we'll keep that in context. But this is what our kids actually use. Again, we try and get as much as we can from natural whole foods. So our kids do take a liquid vitamin D with K2. Again, as I alluded to earlier, why that's so important. And it's sort of a liquid dropper bottle, but a little bit, if you're traveling around or you might don't want to spill that. And again, it's not the cheapest vitamin out there. So that's what we use at home, which we're home 90% of the time. But if we are out and about, then we do have a vitamin D like gummies. Now most kids' vitamins are gummies because it's sugar. You can pass it as candy, and it's debatable if it's any better. Like, does the sugar of the gummy like counteract any benefits you're getting from the vitamin? I don't know. Trying to get away from that, but for the time being, at kids my age, it's an easy way. Like, they actually think it's a treat having their vitamins. Like, oh, vitamin time, So okay, at least they're getting their vitamins. So it, not as effective, but it's something we can do while we're out and about. Omega-3. Again, so right now, like the omega-3 we use, again, I talked about it's flavored with stevia, good taste, you don't get the afterburps or anything like that, but still the consistency of like an oil in their mouth, they just don't get it right now at their age. Like they think it's really weird. And believe me, we've tried, and like, they just spit it out and like, do you know how much that vitamin D costs? Or sorry, how much that omega-3 costs? But anyway, so for right now, they do take a gummy to get that, but again, as they get older, we'll try and reintroduce that. And then the other thing they take is just a general multivitamin. Has a little bit of vitamin C and your Bs and that sort of thing. So currently they take again a gummy just so that they can take it. And also with their age right now, with their the small throats, they can't actually swallow or have a difficult time swallowing a pill. Like, they still kind of have that gag reflex. They don't know how to like just down a pill or like even with water or anything like that. I have just recently a company that I buy some of my supplements from have just come out with a kids multi. So I'm just waiting for them to be old enough to be able to handle swallowing a pill, and then we're going to switch from a gummy to this brand to a multi, a really quality multi. But probably a couple years away before they can like just physiologically be able to like handle swallowing a pill. So yeah, I don't really condone gummies or candy, but we've got to get their vitamins in. So that's what we do right now. Couple supplemental experiments. I'll just talk briefly, because if somebody goes to my YouTube channel, you can see what I'm working on and that sort of thing. So a little. I guess I've only started with one, but basically doing three. I'm going to be doing three experiments. The one I'm currently doing. So it's a product that's I won't mention the product name, but it's basically to lower your cortisol levels, lower your stress. So I'm taking that right now. So I have a 60-day trial, I guess, basically what I'm doing, experiment I'm doing, taking it at bedtime to see if having that helps with my sleep quality, and then my cortisol levels in the morning. Now, cortisol is going to naturally be highest first thing in the morning. That's what helps you wake up. But then to see if it, helps, kind of bring it down and regulate it throughout the day. So in an ideal world, I would have got blood tests and all this sort of thing before, and then got it done tests after the 60 days. That's a lot of work, that sort of thing. So I'm basically using sleep data as my barometer if this will help. That's ongoing. I will post a video on my YouTube of the results when that's all done. After that one's done, I'm going to try go back to probiotics again for 30 or 60 days. See how that works for qualitatively how I feel, but also tracking via sleep data. And then after that is resveratrol, which is probably one that I will, after this experiment, if I think good things, I will probably incorporate into my regular daily stack. So people might not know what that is, but when they say, oh, red wine is good for your heart, it's actually the resveratrol that they're talking about, which is from the grape skin, an extract from the grape skin. So is that good for your heart? Yes, it is. Is it found in high quantities in red wine? No, it is not. So say, to say drink red wine is good for your heart, yeah, if you had about 9 glasses at a time, you'll get enough of an effective dose. So I don't want to be hammered, and alcohol has its own pros and cons. That's topic for another day. But I'd rather just go straight for the extract of resveratrol. So again, that's a experiment upcoming, and probably something I will look to add to my stack. And then also, again, just go back to brain health, recurring theme of sort of brain health. Another thing, I don't consider it a supplement, I consider it a food, but we do pretty much nearly all our cooking in coconut oil for sort of the brain boosting effects of that. And, there's a lot of literature on that. So we do that. And again, as I alluded to earlier, and I've mentioned before, and anybody's read any of my posts anywhere, brain health, Alzheimer's, et cetera, super important to me. So much that I got involved with a not-for-profit that is looking to eradicate and treat and reverse Alzheimer's, called brainmechanics.org. So I'm helping them out, trying to raise awareness and that sort of thing. And many of these supplements sort of tie right into, it's a multimodal approach, protocol for how they believe they can solve it. And they're raising money now for a clinical trial. But certainly supplementation is a part of that. And many of these that we talked about, particularly the lion's mane and omega-3s is part of that protocol. So happy to answer any questions if any have come in or from yourself, Julie, but that's pretty much what I had prepared for what I do and what my kids do and what I'm experimenting with and what I might take in the future.
Well, that's awesome. So, okay, does anybody, thank you so much. There's a lot of people here I've been like hitting. If you see, I'll tap something and then I do like a little smile and nod. I'm like waving to them and then I'm like acknowledging. So that's what I was doing. Like if you even noticed that I was doing that. So there's a few people on here. Do you have a question for Deepak? We're talking about supplements. He is really good. Nina, hello. I'm saying hello to you. If you have a question, feel free to type it in and he'll do his best to answer. And I have a couple questions to just sort of, if any other questions roll in, but I have a couple of questions for you. So
go ahead.
Okay, so one of them is especially about colds, because it's getting to be that time of year where everybody gets colds, so they're getting sick. And you'd mentioned it's like you start like the chaga tea as soon as there's like a little like the hint, like when you're like, oh no, I'm getting the cold. So how does that look? Like, are you like drinking like just tea, like hammering it? Like some people take zinc tablets, like they hammer those until they like, what do you do with your
so I think zinc is really good. I don't start hammering zinc. It's already part of my daily protocol, but that's good. I would up the vitamin C for sure. Which I will also do as well. I'll double dose if I feel something's coming on. And no, I'm not slamming chaga tea. I find it very, it has a very nice earthy sort of taste, very soothing, very calming. So I'll have that in the evening. Maybe if it's on the weekend or something, I may have one in the afternoon and then like none in the evening. But if I feel a little something, I'll have like sort of a before bed or like an hour before bed. Cup, just for something warm in the evening, keep my throat warm and lubricated, and of course the sort of the immune boosting functions. Not a supplement per se; it's a food. But if you do feel like you have a little bit of a sore throat, and we do this with the kids as well. Like it's not like you're like super sick, but like maybe it's a little scratchy, and if you don't get on top of it, maybe you'll have something like a day or two later. But we'll take. So we've been fortunate enough that we have a lot of friends and stuff that have beehives, so we get like natural honey right from like their backyard type of thing, or you buy a really quality non-GMO, non-pasteurized honey from like Australia or New Zealand or some places where they don't pesticide the hell out of everything. But we'll just take a tablespoon of that and just like eat that like just like a teaspoon. Did I say tablespoon? A teaspoon of honey. Yeah, you're gonna get some carbs, you're gonna get some sugar there, but it's really good antibacterial for your throat as it's sort of going down. So it's a little hack that we do there. But yeah, and then for me again, I mentioned the astragalus. If something for myself, I'll double dose on this astragalus, and I think that's pretty much it that's different. I think with once your body's healthy, again, starts sort of with nutrition and the right amount of movement and not taxing yourself or stressing yourself in a lot of other ways. from other factors. We talked about blue light last time we had our conversation, and other things. Um, but your body's pretty healthy. You're more resilient. So you're not going to get things to begin with. So I
Right.
rarely, actually, I haven't been sick in like since I sort of made these changes and lifestyle changes and dropped all the weight. And I haven't been really sick like I used to be. Like I mentioned, 4 or 5 times a year and bronchitis and this. Probably been like 4 or 5 years now since I've been sick. Now, if I do get a little
Awesome.
something, a little runny nose or a little, or a little scratchy throat, it's like I'll double dose on those things, take the honey, chaga tea, day or two, and it's usually like
Oh my
gone. Like
God.
maybe I had one linger maybe 4 or 5 days, but not to the point where I was like coughing. I haven't coughed
Right.
in like, unless I'm choking on something. I haven't coughed in like, yeah, 4.5, 5 years. Uh,
Wow.
Nothing affects me. I used to be the point where I get so sick I couldn't like work out. I couldn't
Yeah.
do more than a walking pace because I'd start coughing so bad, and that's
Hmm.
what kind of started me trying to figure out what was going on with my autoimmune autoimmunity. But now since I made all the a whole bunch of changes, again something might linger, but it never gets to the point where it affects me that I can't exercise or
Wow.
anything like that. So yeah, so knock on wood, it's been great. So yeah, so I think preparation or preparing your body so you don't get something is kind of part
Right.
one, and that if something is coming on, double up. Like I said, vitamin C super cheap. You know, go go to you know high doses on that. And another thing too, I guess another thing I do as well is if I mean I do it daily anyway, but
Hmm.
if I do feel something come on or the kids feel something come on, it's like in the sauna, go sit in the sauna, just
Ah.
sweat it all out, right?
Mm.
So we'll just do a little
Cool.
bit longer dose in there, and try and go like 45 minutes or an hour if I feel something coming on. So that's kind
Oh,
of
that's
kind of what I
awesome.
do. So
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thank you. And we have a question from Tracy Rader. She says, "What product are you taking for cortisol decreasing?" I don't know if you want to address that or not, but
Tracy, I'll come into the comments afterwards, and I'll give you what it's called. So I just don't want to be promoting
yeah,
anything, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm not selling anything here, and I don't want to say one
yeah.
brand's better than the other or talk dosages, but I'll reply to that privately. I mean, anyone
Cool.
could always, I guess, follow up anyway and check the comments, but I just don't want to put it
Well, yeah, you guys can
on the
link up
comments
in
here.
a private message. That's totally cool. Like, just,
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, cool. Thank you for that
sure,
question, Tracy.
sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. You know. So, does anybody else have any questions for Deepak related to supplements? Got the couple of likes there. Thank you very much for the like flood there going
And
up. I
thanks
don't
for
know
the
if you can
question,
see it.
Tracy, too, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Uh, Scott Froelich. I always forget your name. Hello, he just popped on. I'm saying hi to him, so he's my buddy. So hey, does anybody have a question for Deepak? If there is no question for Deepak, would you like to talk a little bit more about the brain mechanics?
Sure, and I'll just say
Just
too, for anyone who's live and maybe shy now, or is going to see this replay played later, like just put a message in the comment, tag me, or maybe I'll be automatically tagged anyway, and I'll respond afterwards. So yeah, just again, brain mechanics. I met these fellows, and super impressed with what they're doing. Like the standard of care is basically give someone it gets caught too late usually, and then you get some medication which the medical system basically knows doesn't work, and maybe you extend quality of life for like 6 months or something like that. There's a new protocol, or not, not. It's been a couple years around for a couple years. It sort of takes it to the next step, called the Recode Protocol by Dr. Dale Bredesen. Great move. He's trained, a couple of thousand doctors or over 1,000 doctors in sort of this protocol, which is a great improvement, and they're seeing some great things. That being said, the brain mechanics also feels that there's so the Recode is like a 3-step protocol. They think there's like 5 more steps that could be done to help, including like emotional regulation and sleep and all these sort of things. So the science on all one of these components are there, right? But they're all in little pillars, right? Science is kind of weird like that. It's kind of like people get stuck in their one area of focus, and they get really deep into it. They dig really deep holes. They go really deep into their area of expertise. but they never connect the tunnels. Because we got all these deep holes in science, but we need to start connecting some of the tunnels. So that's what brain mechanics is trying to do. So all these modalities have huge research individually, and they want to do a clinical trial to put all the modalities together, and using AI and machine learning and throwing around all these fancy terminology and crowdsourcing data, et cetera. They think they can do it for way, way cheap than what it would typically or what now costs to do a clinical trial. So again, just trying to help them raise awareness and raise funds so they can do the clinical trial, prove it out, and actually they're gonna make it what's the word I'm looking for? Like free, like in the public domain. So if they can prove the clinical trial, like great. Hey, guys in Japan use it. Guys in Germany use it. Like they're not trying to, hoard this and make $1 billion off this treatment for Alzheimer's. Right? It's a personal issue for the founders. So again, like I said, I have the Alzheimer's gene. I have Alzheimer's in my family. It's important to me. It's something I'm concerned about. I plan to live to 100. I want my mental capabilities all the way to the end. So we were a good alignment, and I thought, yeah, I'll help him out. So brainmechanics.org, check him out. And if you feel like you want to support the cause, please go ahead and donate. And that's what kind of what I'm about brain mechanics. So.
We do have another question that came in. It's
Awesome.
also from Tracy, and so she says, "Are you a fan of bone broth collagen? Bone broth / collagen?"
Yeah, so I do bone broth for sure. I don't do. I like to make my own, and as people who make their own knows, it can be a little time consuming. Instapot is great for bone broth, way better than like a big crock pot or something. Just like you can do it so much faster. I tend to also make a big batch, and then so again, I'll tend to take it in the winter time. One, just because it's cold, you just want something hearty to warm up. Or if I feel like, again, I should have mentioned this earlier, when I feel a little something coming on, have my chaga tea. Oh, should I have this for lunch? I'm just gonna have some bone broth. I might cut up some vegetables in it just to make it a little bit more of a heartier type of meal. So I'm a big fan of bone broth. Quality is important if you're going to be buying. If you don't know, if you're not making yourself, what you're getting. And you, of course, you will get collagen from that as well. Maybe Tracy maybe you missed it at the beginning, but I also take collagen powder first thing in the morning, or relatively first thing in the morning, and a big glass of water. So I am a huge fan of collagen and bone broth in general. And what I just found out, and I don't know where you live, Tracy, but I just found out maybe a couple weeks ago that the Costco near my house sells a quality brand of collagen, the same brand that I was buying at like this fancy pants health food store, exact same brand, same price, but double the size. So essentially half the price. I was like, so I sent my wife, I'm like, go buy 2 big boxes. So I'm good for collagen for like a couple months now. So check out Costco, good quality collagen there.
That's awesome.
Thank you for the question, Tracy.
It's a great question. All right, I think that's it. That's all we have. Thank you, everyone, for watching and for the questions, and thank you so much, Deepak. You are so filled with nuggets. I love how you just like drop these little things on like about the pickled juice, about the chaga tea. I just love it. It's always so awesome.
I appreciate that. Like getting into it, and when I hear things from people that I follow or my mentors, and I was like, okay, I heard that once, and sometimes it doesn't register right. You got to hear it like 20 times, and then you're like, the first time it happens, like, I remember somebody saying this. I'm going to try that. Like, oh, damn, that worked. Yeah, okay, for sure. So yeah, if I could just maybe just quickly before we wrap up, just where people can find me, outside of Facebook here, but my website, relatively newly designed website, deepaksainyhealth.com. So my first name, last name, health.com. My YouTube channel, please subscribe. Dropping lots of little nuggets there, and more to come. I plan to do. I can't remember if I mentioned this before. A little series of all the. I talked about the resveratrol and sort of the myth of red wine is good for your heart. So I'm planning to do a series of all these little short little food or nutrition myth nuggets. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, and you'll see everything that I'm putting out there for the most part. And then also pretty active on Twitter, and that's YouTube, Deepak Saini Health. deepaksainihealth.com is the website, Deepak Saini Health on YouTube, and then D, just the initial D Saini Health on Twitter. So, and I try to do some different things on different platforms. So, and if you really like quotes and like inspirational quotes, I always do that on Twitter. So, if you like that and you want to all the quotes that I'm thinking about or quotes I come across, I think, damn, that's a good quote. I'll tweet that. So yeah, so sometimes different platforms have a little bit of a different message or different audience, that type of thing. So that's where you can find me. And yeah, happy to, again, if you're seeing this now or too shy or you come across this later or somebody shares it with you and you have a question, put it in the comments below and I'll check over the next couple of days and answer any questions, and I will definitely get back to you on that cortisol lowering supplement for you, Tracy. So.
Awesome. All right, Deepak. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, Julie. I appreciate you having me on again. So.
I want to do
ready?
the thing.
Ready?
Yes. Like the best. Right on. All right, Deepak. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and have a great evening. And
You too. Have a great
time.
weekend.
Right
Have
on.
a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.